A dragon descends into the courtyard of the Red Keep, the largest dragon the world has ever known. A girl clings to his back. She is barely recognizable, stick-thin, eyes bloody, skin flushed red and burning to the touch. Balerion the Black Dread bears a wound down his left side, 9 feet long, still bleeding. The blood is hot and smoking. The girl whispers something through cracked and bleeding lips. The man who hears it will pray for the rest of his life to forget what she said. Welcome to Westeros Within, where we journey into forgotten ages, hidden legends, and ancient mysteries. This is Mysteries of the Realm, Episode 10. Princess Aerea, the truth was sealed. Before we ask where she went, we need to ask who she was. And that question is harder than it should be. Aerea Targaryen was born around 41 AC, daughter of Prince Aegon the Uncrowned and Princess Rhaena Targaryen. She had a twin sister, Rhaella. As young children, their personalities were distinct. The original Rhaella was bold, willful, robust, a terror to her septas. The original Aerea was quieter, more timid. Then both girls spent time in Old Town, and when they emerged, something had changed completely. The girl called Aerea was now bold, defiant, fierce. The girl called Rhaella had become quiet and meek. A perfect reversal. So perfect that rumors spread immediately. The twins had been swapped. Some scholars believe Rhaena herself orchestrated it, hiding one daughter safely in the faith under the wrong name. Others suspect the Dowager Queen Alyssa arranged it. Others say the twins decided on their own. The personality evidence is strong. The girl who would eventually claim Balerion, the bold one, the defiant one, matched the original Rhaella's temperament exactly. The quiet twin lived out her days peacefully as a septa, which matched the original Aerea. If the swap is real, then the child who died screaming in King's Landing with creatures bursting from her flesh was not Aerea at all. She was Rhaella, living under a stolen name. But here is what matters. The horror does not change. A child suffered. A child died. The mystery of what she found remains identical regardless of which name she bore. I raise it because it tells us something important about this story. Before we even reach Valyria, we are standing on uncertain ground. The narrators of history may have the wrong name for the girl at the center of the tale. In this investigation, nothing is certain. Not even the victim's identity. Whatever her true name, the girl called Aerea was profoundly unhappy. Her father was killed by Maegor the Cruel before she could know him. Her mother, Rhaena, shattered by grief and forced into a marriage with the man who murdered her husband, was emotionally absent. Aerea was sent to Dragonstone, an island she despised. She had no friends her own age. She was forbidden from mingling with the small folk. The lively court at King's Landing that she had loved was replaced by volcanic rock and silence. Her only real companion was Alyssa Farman, her mother's closest friend. Alyssa spoke of distant seas, of sailing beyond the edge of every map. Aerea begged to come with her. She begged to go anywhere. Then Alyssa left. She stole 3 dragon eggs from the Dragonstone hatcheries to fund a ship and sailed west into the unknown. Aerea pleaded with her to stay, or to take her along. Alyssa refused and vanished over the horizon. The one person who understood her was gone. And then the murders began. Andro Farman, Alyssa's brother, Rhaena's neglected husband, poisoned every one of Rhaena's female companions using tears of Lys. One by one, the women of Dragonstone died. When confronted, Andro threw himself from a window. Rhaena collapsed. She locked herself in her rooms. She raged at anyone who spoke Andro's name. She screamed at Queen Alysanne when the queen came to comfort her. Aerea, a girl of perhaps 13, was alone in a castle haunted by murder, grief, and a mother who could not see her. Queen Alysanne tried to help. Aerea admitted she felt rejected. She begged to be taken back to King's Landing. Alysanne brought the request to Rhaena. Rhaena refused. Her words were, "You have everything and I have nothing. You will not take my daughter too." She kept Aerea not out of love, out of spite. And so Aerea made the decision that would kill her. She climbed the Dragonmont, the volcanic peak of Dragonstone. In the smoking caves, she found Balerion the Black Dread, the largest dragon in the history of the known world, 200 years old. Born in Valyria before the Doom. The dragon that had conquered Westeros under Aegon I melted Harrenhal into slag and carried Maegor the Cruel into battle. She claimed him. She flew away. She was 13 years old, and she was not seeking adventure. She was seeking escape. She did not fly towards something. She flew away from everything. And the dragon took her somewhere far worse than anything she was running from. For over a year, nothing. No sighting. No word. Aerea and Balerion had vanished from the known world. The question everyone asked was, where did Aerea take Balerion? Septon Barth, Hand of the King for 41 years, one of the greatest minds in Westerosi history, realized they were asking the wrong question entirely. "We should have been asking," he wrote, "where did Balerion take Aerea?" His reasoning was elegant. Aerea was an inexperienced rider. She was a child. Balerion was the largest and most willful dragon alive. She could not bend him to her purpose. Without a strong hand to direct him, the dragon would go where he chose. And Balerion was the last living creature in the world that had known Valyria before it was destroyed. Without a rider to command him, the Black Dread went home. The destination theory is nearly settled. Valyria explains everything that followed. The fire-based parasites, the volcanic environment, Jaehaerys' immediate ban on all travel to Valyria after learning what happened. Some have proposed Sotharios or the Shadowlands beyond Ashai, but neither explains why Balerion would fly there, and neither matches the nature of what came back inside the girl. The real question was never where. It was what they found when they arrived. On the 13th day of the 4th moon of 56 AC, Balerion descended into the Red Keep. Aerea clung to his back. She was almost unrecognizable, barely an ounce of flesh on her bones, her hair matted and tangled, her eyes bloody. Whatever clothing she had worn was nothing but tatters, and she was burning. Her fever was so intense it could be felt through plate armor. Septon Barth was there. He left a private account of what happened next, an account he later sealed, telling the world only that Princess Aerea had died of a fever. It was broadly true, but it was a fever unlike anything in recorded history. Swellings moved beneath the princess's skin. They shifted and pulsed, as if something alive was searching for a way out. The pain was unbearable. Barth recorded that things whispered through her cracked and bleeding lips, words so terrible he prayed to forget them. She begged for death. Her flesh grew darker until it looked like pork cracklings. Smoke rose from her mouth, her nose. Her eyes cooked within her skull until they burst. The Meisters lowered her into a bath of ice water as a last measure, and that is when the creatures emerged. Barth's account is the most horrifying passage in all the chronicles of Westeros. The things, Mother have mercy, I do not know how to speak of them. They were worms with faces, snakes with hands, twisting, slimy, unspeakable things that seemed to writhe and pulse and squirm, as they came bursting from her flesh. Some were no bigger than my little finger, but one at least was as long as my arm. Oh, warrior, protect me, the sounds they made. They were, in Barth's words, creatures of heat and fire. And they did not love the ice. The cold water killed them. It killed Aerea, too. Barth and Grand Maester Bennifer were the only witnesses. They told the court she had died of a fever. Barth sealed his private account. Aerea was cremated. Now consider what Barth wrote after he sealed the truth. How could the gods be so blind or so uncaring as to permit such horror? Or is it possible that there are other deities in this universe? Monstrous evil gods, such as the priests of Red Rowler, preach against whose malice the kings of men and the gods of men are naught but flies? This was one of the great theological minds of his age, a man of deep faith. What he saw in that room broke something inside him. He did not merely record a medical anomaly. He questioned whether the gods themselves were powerless, or whether something older and darker ruled the world. So what were they? What crawled out of a dying girl's flesh? The first theory, and the most grounded, is firewyrms. Firewyrms are creatures attested in the histories of Valyria. They breathe fire, but have no wings. They bore through rock and soil. Young ones are no bigger than a child's arm, but they can grow to immense sizes. They lived in the 14 flames before the dragons came. Barth himself noted structural similarities between firewyrms and dragons from the neck up. The evidence is strong in some respects. Firewyrms need extreme heat to survive, consistent with creatures of fire that died in ice. They existed in Valyria's volcanic tunnels. Their size range matches Barth's description, but there are problems. Firewyrms bore through stone, not flesh. They are tunnelers, not parasites. And Barth described faces and hands on the creatures. Known firewyrm anatomy does not include anything resembling human features. If these were firewyrms, they were not ordinary ones. The second theory is darker, and the evidence for it is disturbingly strong. The Valyrians were more than dragon lords. The histories confirm that they practiced blood magic and other dark arts, delving deep into the earth for secrets and twisting the flesh of beasts and men to fashion monstrous and unnatural chimeras. This is not speculation. This is attested. In the flesh pits of Gogossos, a Valyrian colony, blood mages mated beasts to slave women to produce twisted, half-human offspring. The Valyrians experimented with the fusion of human and animal flesh through sorcery. They created things that should not exist. Now consider Barth's description again. Worms with faces, snakes with hands, partially human features on bodies that were not human at all. If the Valyrians created parasitic chimeras, organisms that combined firewyrm biology with human tissue through blood magic, then the creatures inside Aerea were not natural. They were engineered, created in the laboratories of the Freehold before the Doom. And 4 centuries after the fires consumed Valyria, they were still alive in the ruins, still breeding, still hungry. There is an extension of this theory that is worth considering. If Valyrian sorcerers used parasitic worms to create dragons themselves, modifying wyverns through biological implantation, then placing those same organisms inside a human host, particularly one with Valyrian blood, could produce the chimeric horrors Barth described. Aerea was not random prey. She was a Targaryen. She carried the blood of old Valyria. She may have been an ideal host. A third theory proposes something more defensive, that the creatures were not escaped experiments, but deliberate traps, biological wards designed to protect Valyrian treasures from looters. Aerea's Valyrian blood may have attracted them rather than repelled them. A lock that recognized the key and consumed it. None of these theories can be confirmed. We are dealing with a single witness account, sealed by the witness himself, partially destroyed by later kings. But the blood magic theory answers the most questions: the faces, the hands, the heat dependency, the survival across centuries. And then there is the wound. Balerion the Black Dread, the dragon who had survived the doom of Valyria, burned Harrenhal, and outlived every enemy the world had thrown at him, returned with a jagged gash 9 feet long down his left side. Fresh blood dripped from the wound. The blood was hot and smoking. Nothing in the known world had ever wounded Balerion like that. What could tear open the hide of the Black Dread? Some propose another dragon. Dragon Lord Aurion marched into Valyria after the doom with 30,000 men and his own dragon. None returned. Could feral dragons, gone wild in the volcanic ruins, have attacked Balerion? Perhaps. But Balerion was the largest dragon who ever lived. What dragon could wound him and live? Others suggest a firewyrm of immense size. Without dragon lords to keep them in check for 400 years, firewyrms in the 14 Flames could have grown to monstrous proportions. The wound's position, down the left side, is consistent with a ground-based attacker striking upward. And then there is the possibility that unsettles the most. That something exists in Valyria that is worse than dragons. Something born from the doom itself, or from the blood magic that caused it. Something that had 4 centuries to grow in the volcanic dark, with nothing to challenge it. Balerion was never the same after the return. He gradually declined. His last rider, decades later, reported that the dragon could barely rise and could only circle King's Landing 3 times before landing, exhausted. The Black Dread died in 94 AC. Whatever wounded him did not merely cut his flesh. It broke something deeper. Consider the pattern. Dragon Lord Aurion marched into Valyria with an army and a dragon. Gone. Tommen II Lannister sailed there with the Valyrian steel sword, Bright Roar. Gone. Jaehaerys Lannister, Tywin's own brother, sailed to find what Tommen lost. Gone. Princess Aerea went on the back of the most powerful dragon ever born. She came back infested, burning, dying. Balerion came back wounded and broken. Valyria does not let people leave. And the few who return come back changed, diminished, ruined. 400 years after the doom, the smoking sea still smokes. The fires still burn. Whatever magic the Valyrians poured into those mountains, whatever they built, bred and bound in the deep places, it did not die with them. Jaehaerys understood this. After Aerea's death, he issued a decree that was never rescinded. Any ship suspected of visiting Valyria would be forbidden from docking in Westeros. Any Westerosi who set foot in Valyria would face death. He did not issue that decree because of a fever. He issued it because Barth told him the truth, and the truth was terrible enough to reshape royal policy for generations. And yet, Barth's truth was almost lost entirely. Barth sealed his account of Aerea's death. He wrote a masterwork, Dragons, Worms, and Wyverns, Their Unnatural History, in which he argued that dragons were not natural creatures at all, but creations of Valyrian blood magic, changeable as flame, linked to the firewyrms of the 14 Flames. King Baelor I ordered the book destroyed as heretical. The Citadel participated in the suppression. Most copies were burned. Master Marwyn, centuries later, said it plainly. The world the Citadel is building has no place in it for sorcery or prophecy or glass candles, much less for dragons. The institution that should have preserved knowledge chose to destroy it. The man who came closest to understanding what lurks in Valyria had his life's work burned by people who preferred ignorance to horror. And so the truth was sealed twice. Once by Barth, who could not bring himself to speak openly of what he saw, and once by the very institutions that should have listened. There is one more thing that haunts me about this story, and it is not the creatures or the wound or the sealed records. It is the ending. After Aerea died, Jaehaerys offered to inter her ashes on Dragonstone, as tradition demanded. Rhaena refused. Aerea hated Dragonstone, she said. She wanted to fly. Rhaena took her daughter's ashes into the sky on Dreamfire and scattered them on the wind. The mother who had kept her daughter imprisoned out of spite, who had refused to let her leave, who had barely known her own child, gave Aerea in death the one thing she had denied her in life: freedom. A girl who wanted to escape found the most powerful dragon in the world, and the dragon carried her to the one place in the world she should never have gone. She spent a year in a volcanic ruin infested with horrors that burrowed into her flesh. She came back begging to die. She was 13 years old. She just wanted to leave. That is the emotional center of this story. Not the creatures, not the conspiracy, not even Valyria. A lonely, unloved child chose the only escape she could find, and it destroyed her. So what do I believe? I believe Balerion took Aerea to Valyria. The evidence is overwhelming, and Barth's reasoning has never been credibly challenged. The dragon went home. He was the last living creature who remembered the freehold, and without a strong rider to command him, he returned to the place of his birth. I believe the creatures inside Aerea were not natural. The faces and hands point to something engineered. Chimeric organisms born from Valyrian blood magic. The same dark arts that may have created the dragons themselves. Firewyrm stock, modified through sorcery, surviving in the volcanic heat of the ruined freehold for centuries after the doom. The cold killed them because they were creatures of fire. And I believe Aerea's Valyrian blood made her a more compatible host than any ordinary person would have been. I believe something in Valyria wounded Balerion, something large enough and powerful enough to tear open the greatest dragon who ever lived. Whether it was a feral dragon grown monstrous in isolation, or a firewyrm of impossible size, or something worse that we have no name for, I cannot say. But it broke the Black Dread. And that terrifies me more than anything else in this story. Because if something in Valyria can break Balerion, then nothing in the known world is safe from it. And I believe Septon Barth made the right choice in sealing the truth. Not because the world did not deserve to know, but because knowing would not have helped. The doom did not destroy Valyria. It transformed it. Whatever the Valyrians built in those mountains, whatever they bred and bound and twisted in the deep places of the earth, it is still there, 400 years later, breeding, growing, waiting. Aerea's story is the only window we have into what survives in the ruins of the freehold. And through that window, we see something that should have stayed buried. So tell me this. What do you think is still alive in the ruins of Valyria? Write it in the comments. I read every theory. And if you want to be here when we unravel the next mystery, subscribe to Westeros Within and join me for the next chapter.